Here to introduce our executive director, Deron Drumm, who, he doesn't really, he'll give his own introduction, but there's so much to be said about him. Him and Deron and Dr. Blatt worked so hard to bring this vision together, and I'm privileged enough to be able to just kind of coordinate it to bring it to where we are today. But with their vision, it became a reality, and so we're just really excited to be here. So with no other words needed, here is Deron Drumm.
Good morning, everyone. I've been looking forward to this day for a long time. I'm so excited to be here and to have all these wonderful speakers and all you wonderful people here to share this day with us. Just want to quickly thank the conference coordinating committee for putting this together. A lot goes into putting conferences on, and Michaela for coordinating all the work she put into this tirelessly. And for Ken Blatt, it's really his vision that brought this to fruition, his work, his generosity to make this possible. So we really appreciate you and your amazing leadership of our board and of our organization. Thank you, Ken. So I was going to start with, I teach Qigong and Tai Chi, and I was going to start with a breath practice, but I really love the way Cheryl started us. I feel really centered, and I hope you guys all agree. So I'm going to skip that. And just quickly about our organization, that a real privilege of introducing Bob Whittaker, which will be the third time, Bob, I've got to introduce you for a keynote various places around the country, and it's an honor for me every time, and I hope I get to do it a lot more. I love the TED Talk by Simon Sinek. Probably a lot of you have seen that. It's one of the most viewed TED Talks. His work in the world is to help leaders be more successful and connect more with their hearts. And his kind of famous saying in his TED Talk and in his writings is that people don't care what you do, they care why you do it. And it really resonates with me. So when I think about talking about this organization, Advocacy Unlimited, which of course put this on and does such profoundly important work around Connecticut and beyond, I could talk about the programs we do. A lot of them will be highlighted today in breakout sessions. I could talk about those things, but it's really for me the why. And the simple answer to the why is because our hearts won't let us do anything else. Someone said to me recently, we're expanding Toivo, which we'll talk about this afternoon. And Toivo's branching out in a lot of different ways, bringing holistic stress management and bringing healing to a lot of people, including police officers. Yesterday we met with a dentist association. They want us to work with them because a lot of people struggling right now, and wherever there's need, and we try to figure out how we can serve. But around the expansion, this person said to me, don't forget why we do what we do. We do it to serve people who struggle with their emotions, people who have gone through been marginalized, people who struggle with addictions. That's why we do what we do, and don't forget that. And I kind of paused, and I felt a little emotional, and I looked at that person, and I said, I can't ever forget. It's the difference between our organization and a lot of organizations. Our personal experiences, and collectively the 30 of us at Advocacy Unlimited have experienced incarceration, time being homeless, time in psychiatric hospitals, time being marginalized and oppressed and silenced and not listened to. A lot of suffering in a lot of different ways, and we found ways to navigate that, to learn from that adversity, to grow through it, and could come back and be of service. And I just think of again, the why, because I try not to speak for the team I work with, amazing people that let me work with them every day. But in this moment, I'm going to do that. And I hear the stories, I've heard so many stories, and it's always the journey through those really dark times, those really hard times, of what was the really most profound thing that helped them move forward. And for all of them, it's this constant story of the people that saw them, the people that heard them, the people that held space for them. And I'll speak for myself, my pain showed up in a lot of ways that was really hard to be around, right, honey? and I had amazing people like my wife who held space for me at that time, was able to see the suffering I was going through, was able to hear me, to value me and connect with me. And I had a lot of people like that in my life. I mean, one, besides my wife, but two main ones, my wife early on. I recently went through my anniversary, my recovery date a lot of people use. For me, it's a kind of transformation date. And I was in a psychiatric hospital 7.5 years ago, and I was sitting there and I always, in the struggles of my life since childhood, I always had this like light and this thing like God, or there's something bigger for me in some ways to kind of get through the experiences. There was this moment in this hospital when I knew it was over. Like that light went out. And literally, I was in a hospital in Florida. It was mere hours before my mom walked in the door. She had flown down from Florida. She walked in the door and she sat with me. And she just heard my pain. And we've never had this connection like that ever before. And she told me stories that she went through, things I didn't know as her son. And she was just there for me. And then like a few days later, Carrie flew down. And the light started to come back on. And we all have these stories of the people that didn't try to fix us or change us or rearrange us, that just held space for us and let us be in pain and let that be okay. And just gave us the hope to move forward. So the answer is to why we do what we do, because we need to be that for other people, because people did that for us. So that's what we do. And we do it in a lot of different ways. We do it with peer support, with our Community Bridger program. We do it by teaching others how to hold space for people that are struggling. We do it by trying to support people on how to connect with their bodies, how to come home to their bodies and their hearts with mind-body practices. But again, I can talk about what we do, but why is so profoundly important. Like when 5 o'clock rolls around for us, we can't check out. We can't clock out and go home and forget about work, because we'll never forget the experiences we went through. And we'll never forget there's always people going through those experiences every second of the day. So that's what drives us at Advocacy Unlimited. So I say a lot of it so you have a little sense of what we do, but I also want you to know for this day in the work we do challenges the conventional narrative. Because we found in our journeys it was a lot more than conventional narratives that helped us move through the suffering. So the experiences today, maybe they challenge some thinking that we hear, what the media says, what schools say, but I promise you the experiences you hear today, our personal shared lived experiences, validate what you will hear. These are the stories, the tools, the ways that we move through our suffering. We want to share that, as widely as possible. So it's really important to us. So I'm really grateful everyone's here. I hope you guys get a chance to talk to these amazing people that work at Advocacy Unlimited, this team here. It's so, I grew up, struggling a lot, and I always was so inspired by the people that found ways through, the comeback stories. I'm the one that always cried in stories like Rocky, and I love that stuff, and I love Joseph Campbell's work, The Hero's Journey. People go into that dark night of the soul and face unimaginable torment and find ways through and find tools and ways and bring it back and teach and be of service with those tools. And I'm so honored every single day I get to work with these heroes. And it's so amazing to me. I'm so grateful to every single one of you for allowing me to do that. So, Bob Whittaker. There's the kind of stuff that's probably in the program, right? The Pulitzer Prize nominated, one of his many books, but 3 books around the field that we are interested in. One hit the New York Times bestsellers list. He speaks all over the world, including the Vatican, which is kind of interesting. And there's those things, but then there's the things that really matter to people like me, I think. He started a website called Mad in America, a web magazine. He'll share a little story and give his amazing talk. And this talk, by the way, is the first time he's given it in America, so it's kind of exciting. He started this web magazine to let people who've been through a lot of difficulties in their lives, including a lot of difficulties with the treatment system in this country, allowed people to give voice to that and share their voice. And a lot of people whose voices were not being heard. And he started this web magazine, and people's voices got shared, and these articles came out. And for me, it was so amazing. I don't necessarily think my articles are very good. What they were is healing for me, to be able to voice that truth, to be able to have a place where I can share some of the things I went through and some of the lessons I learned. And Bob, I'll always be grateful for you for giving me and many others that chance. It's so important. And now that web magazine there's psychiatrists and psychologists and people from all over the world writing on there about better ways to support people struggling with their emotions, talking about a paradigm shift that we so desperately need. So Bob, I really appreciate that. So I'm really, really honored to bring up my friend, Bob Whittaker.